Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Cooking with T-Zac. Okay, I don't know what that was. I know it's been a while since we did one of these Cooking with T-Zac videos. I blame it on Cicely Chechi, but I've been busy. I've kind of been traveling and doing my own thing. Currently unemployed, hint hint. But I thought we'll come back with a really simple recipe. Ease into it a little bit before we start cooking other stuff. And this is actually one of the simplest recipes I've done, but it's also a really interesting, intriguing one. And there's a reason why I'm doing this recipe now, because it is really hot, at least here in Mumbai, Bombay. And this recipe is perfect for the heat. Today's recipe is the Pakola Bath. I think I'm pronouncing it right. And this is a very special dish which I came across during my Chef on the Road trip through Odisha a few years ago, which by the way was one of the best food travel experiences of my life. And what is really unique about this recipe is that I know we get like really amazed by fermented food from around the world, but a variation of this recipe which we're going to make today involves fermentation. And there are variations of this Pakola Bath being made in different states in India, places like West Bengal, Assam, Chhattisgarh, even like Tamil Nadu. But I have a fondness for Odisha and the Odia Pakola Bath. It's actually made its way onto the Bombay Canteen menu a few times in the past, and the response has been amazing. We've actually done really exciting variations of it. One with like pumpkin and pumpkin flour, and the other was the more traditional way of serving it with a whole bunch of different accompaniments. And I think it's one of those recipes that you can easily try at home. What is also really crazy about the recipe is that it goes back thousands of years. In fact, the first known records were found at Lord Jagannath's temple in Puri in the year 10 AD. So do the math. That's a very long time ago. And it is also 20th of March is Pakola Dibasa Day, or Pakola Dibasa. Dibasa means day, so it's Pakola Dibasa. I'm not saying Pakola Day, where this very special dish is celebrated all over Odisha, and that's why we're going to be doing it today. So let's go through the ingredients first. It's really simple. There are variations of this. Like I said, there's the Saja Pakola, which is in its most basic sense. Oh, I forgot to explain what Pakola is. Pakola means washed, and Bath is obviously rice. So Pakola Bath means washed rice or rice water. Something I grew up eating, which is kanji, and that is the Saja Pakola, which is just like cooked rice mixed with water. Then there's Basi Pakola, which is Basi means stale, which means that the rice mixed with water is left to ferment overnight. And then there's Dahi Pakola, which is where a little bit of dahi is added for a little bit of sourness. But my favorite rendition of this is the Chunka Pakola. Chunka is or chunk is the tempering which is added, and this kind of spruces up a little bit, gives it a little more punch and flavor. And later on I'll tell you about how this dish is supposed to be eaten. So yeah, let's go through the ingredients here. We have rice. I typically like to use like a short grain rice. This one is Ambe Mohar from here, Maharashtra. We need some form of oil, typically like a neutral oil. This is groundnut oil, mustard seeds, curry leaves, dry red chili, some dahi, green chilies, fresh ginger. Also in season right now is amada, mango ginger, which works really well in this recipe. And because I couldn't find amada today, we're gonna use some raw mango as well. Okay, so let's get started. We'll start with boiling the rice. Yeah, first I'm starting with about 1 cup of rice to about 4 to 4.5 cups of water. No salt is added in this case, which is an exception for me. I know I'm not seasoning as I go. There's a reason for this, because salt kind of slows down the fermentation, and we kind of don't want that here. So the water is boiling. This is the boiling method of cooking rice, not the pilaf method, which I'm usually a fan of. But in this case, we don't want to add anything else. We just want to boil the rice. 4 cups of water to about a cup of rice. Yeah, we let that cook for about 10-15 minutes till it's done. I haven't soaked the rice, but you're free to do that. And yeah, once it's done, then we strain it. Okay, so the rice has now been cooking for about 15 to 17 minutes. How do you tell the rice is done? By just kind of tasting it. Yeah, I'm going to turn it off. You still want to have a little bit of bite to it, but and not completely mushy, but cooked through. And you can pretty much use any rice, long grain, short grain, long grain, short grain, fat, thin, whatever you want. No discrimination here. Once it's done, you basically strain it out. There is construction happening in the next apartment. Clearly, they have no respect for my cooking exact videos. And the reason I picked 4 to 4.5 cups of water is because I don't like to throw away the water when you're cooking rice. Okay, this water is precious. All those nutrients are trapped in there, and you don't want to throw it away. We're going to actually put that back into the rice at some point. The reason I'm straining it is so that it stops the cooking process of the rice. Look at that. It's a little bit of water, and that's fine. But see how the grains are all separated and individual, and we're going to let that cool in there. We're going to keep this rice water separate as well. Okay, and while the rice is cooling, we're going to prepare the aromatics that we're going to use in here. What we can also do at the stage to further speed up the cooling process, you don't want to put it in the refrigerator because rice stiffens up, but add room temperature water, about a cup in there. Okay, and let's give that a little mix. And then you have your aromatics, which we're going to grind together. Ginger, about 1.5 inches. Green chilies. Now, depending on how spicy you want this, you can have 1 or 2 or 3. I'm going with 3 because I like a little kick, and it's a pretty decent amount of rice. And raw mango, which is in season right now in the summer. Okay, we're gonna add a little bit of that in there as well. This is fantastic. I don't need background music. These peels can go into making a chutney. For now, I'm going to use only the flesh. Maybe a little bit more. Yeah. I'm going to just roughly chop this up. And add that in there. Crush it! Okay, that might be a little too much of kairi raw mango. It's okay, I eat them. Okay, so this is what we want that to kind of look like. And the rice is cooled down completely, so we're going to kind of add this into the rice. It will be too sour, you can skip the raw mango. If you don't want it to be in there, there's going to be some sourness coming from the fermentation too right now. Okay, as well. As you can see, that the water which I added is kind of gotten absorbed into this as well. So probably be better. Homemade is better. But if you don't have have any that you make at home, store-bought is fine as well. Mix that in. It's important that you add these when the rice is cooled down. There's the friendly bacteria is going to die from the yogurt and whatever's from the water we add. Okay, so that's kind of there ready. What I'm also going to do is add in the cooked down rice water which we separated. Remember, there's no salt in this at this point. I'm going to keep this aside and I'm going to make the tadka. This step is really easy. Heat the pan on medium heat. Get ready with your tadka ingredients. Very little amount of oil, maybe like 1 capful or half a capful. Once that's heated up, about I want to say quarter to half teaspoon of mustard seeds, some red chilies. You can use regular Kashmiri chilies. I'm using the Bora chilies, and curry patta. Mix that together, and that goes into the rice water. Beautiful. At this stage, you cover it and leave it to ferment, preferably overnight, but at least for 8 to 10 hours. Okay? And when we're back, we're gonna have delicious sour pakla bhat, the chunka variety, the chunka style. Okay, so it's been a full 12 hours. We've given the pakla bhat enough time to sit and ferment at room temperature. This has not been refrigerated. You want it to be at room temperature. And let's see what it looks like. It looks pretty much the same, but you can smell a little bit of that funk and the sourness coming through the fermentation. Remember, this has not been seasoned, so this is where you add the salt. Be generous, and obviously you're doing this to taste, and mix it in. And this is typically what it looks like. Let's also taste it. So it's really nice and refreshing and cooling. There's that heat from the green chilies, but also flavor from the curry leaves and the mustard seeds, and of course the raw mango giving a little bit of sourness with dahi. And typically this is not eaten as is on its own. It's a little too monotonous to eat on its own, and people in Odisha have like a whole bunch of accompaniments with the pakla bhat, so it's a whole kind of experience, which is also exciting. And so I've prepared some of those here. We have dried shrimps which has been fried and dusted with red chili powder and fried curry leaves. We also have aloo chakata, which is like a Odia bharta. That's mashed potatoes that's mixed with mustard oil, chopped onions, chopped dhania or cilantro, and cumin powder, toasted cumin powder. Really, really simple to make. Kind of mix everything together and shape them into balls. Then there's some form of fried fish or macha bhaja. I've used anchovies. This is just marinated with turmeric powder, red chili powder, cumin powder, and then dusted with rice flour and deep fried. Really, really nice, crispy. Gonna have a nice crunch to that. And some form of saag. In this case, I've used kohlrabi greens, which are in season right now, which are just cooked. I mean, it's basically I heat up mustard oil, add dry red chilies, cumin seeds, sliced garlic, kind of saute that for a minute, and then add the greens and turmeric and braise it with a little bit of water, salt and sugar, and it's really, really delicious. I also added some bay leaves for flavor. And there you have it, and now we're ready to have a feast. Happy Pakala Divasa! Okay. Okay, let's eat. Okay. It's actually really nice on its own. I went a little bit overboard with the green chilies, but you can totally choose not to. Kind of mix and match, almost like you eat a causeway. The beauty is that every bite kind of gives you a whole new set of flavors and textures, and it's really lovely. That's a saag. I'm really glad I got to share this recipe with you guys. See you later.